The XL were a peaceful alien race, once flourishing on their home planet, a world filled with advanced technology and breathtaking landscapes. But now, their peaceful existence was under a terrifying threat. The Zephyrians, a technologically superior alien empire, had set their eyes on XL's planet. Their way of conquering was brutal and efficient. Massive warships, drones controlled by artificial intelligence, and relentless armies designed to invade and completely annihilate any planet that stood in their way. XL had tried to fight back, but their technology was no match for the advanced Zephyrian forces. The planet's defenses were quickly overwhelmed, and the once mighty race found themselves powerless against an unstoppable enemy. Their leaders knew that it was only a matter of time before the Zephyrians would destroy their world, eradicating their entire civilization. As hope began to fade, the XL's leaders turned to their last resort. They sent out a desperate distress signal, hoping beyond hope that someone, anyone, would come to their aid. The message they broadcasted was clear, but it was also a cry of desperation. We are being attacked by the Zephyrians. We need help. Earth, please respond. The XL didn't expect much from Earth. Humanity had a reputation for being weak, small in the grand scale of the universe, and their technological advancements were far from impressive compared to the mighty alien empires of the galaxy. The XL had heard of Earth, but thought of it as just another insignificant planet, too far from the galactic spotlight to matter. Still, in their desperation, they clung to the idea that maybe, just maybe, Earth might answer their plea for help. What the XL didn't know was that Earth had changed. It was no longer the helpless, underdeveloped world it once was. Over the years, humanity had evolved, adapting advanced technologies from other alien encounters and developing strategies and weapons that could rival any race in the galaxy. Earth was now a force to be reckoned with, a terrifying power capable of striking fear into even the most advanced civilizations. As the distress signal reached Earth, something extraordinary happened. In the darkness of space, Earth's warships, hidden by cloaking technology, silently appeared from the shadows, surprising everyone in the galaxy. The first few ships that emerged from the cloaking devices were unlike anything the XL had ever seen. They were massive, sleek, and armed with weaponry that could obliterate entire fleets. The XL leaders had no idea that this small, seemingly weak planet would soon become their only hope. The Zephyrians, however, weren't prepared for this surprise. Their eye-controlled forces, which were typically flawless in their precision, were caught off guard by the sudden appearance of Earth's ships. As the warships cloaked themselves once again, moving in and out of view, the Zephyrians scrambled to adapt to this new threat. The once confident invaders now found themselves unsure and anxious. Humanity had arrived, and their terrifying power was immediately felt. The XL's once hopeless situation now had a glimmer of hope. Still, the question remained, could Earth truly save them? Could the human race, which had always been underestimated by so many, actually stand up to the Zephyrians and their overwhelming technological superiority? In the midst of this uncertainty, a sense of suspense hung over the battlefield. The humans had arrived, but what would happen next? Could they defeat the Zephyrians, or would they be crushed under the weight of their enemy's might? The XL watched in awe and fear as the humans prepared for battle, knowing that their only chance at survival lay in the hands of these once weak beings. The dramatic scene unfolded above XL's planet as Earth's warships, cloaked and deadly, moved into position. The once calm and peaceful skies were now filled with the ominous hum of humanity's advanced technology. XL's soldiers, already battered and weakened, watched from the ground as the first human ships opened fire, their weapons lighting up the dark expanse of space. This wasn't just any battle. It was the turning point in a war that would decide the fate of an entire planet. As the warships engaged in battle, the visual spectacle was nothing short of breathtaking. The human ships, cloaked in shimmering force fields, darted between enemy fleets, their weapons cutting through the vastness of space with terrifying precision. The Zephyrians, once confident in their dominance, were forced to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. They had never encountered an enemy like this before. Zelzeri watched as their new allies launched devastating attacks, each blast from the human ships tearing through Zephyrian drones and warships. The once helpless humans had become a force that could strike fear into the hearts of the most powerful alien empires. As the Zelzeri observed the conflict unfolding, they realized that their planet, their people, might just have a chance at survival after all. The question now was no longer whether Earth would come to the rescue, but whether the humans could survive the battle to come. They had entered a war that was far bigger than anything they could have imagined. But in doing so, they had taken the first step in proving that humanity, despite being underestimated, had the power to turn the tide of galactic war. The Zelzeri and Zephyrians were locked in a deadly confrontation, but the real suspense lay in the unknown future. Would Earth's terrifying warships be enough to save the day? Could humanity defeat a race as advanced as the Zephyrians? The battle was only just beginning, and the fate of an entire planet, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. And so, the story of humanity's terrifying arrival on the galactic stage had begun. The Zephyrians had been a terror across the galaxy, sweeping through planets with their advanced AI drones and massive warships. Their strategy was simple: invade, overwhelm, and destroy. Entire civilizations had fallen before their might. Planets turned to ashes, their survivors left to perish or flee into space, with no one to stand in the way of the relentless Zephyrian forces. Until now, humanity's warships, emerging from the shadows of their cloaking technology, brought a terrifyingly new element to the battlefield. As the Zephyrian fleets began to advance toward the Zelzeri's planet, they were met with a force they never expected. Earth's warships appeared, almost out of nowhere, launching devastating attacks that caught the Zephyrians off guard. The Terran warriors, humanity's finest, had undergone years of intense training and were equipped with weapons and technology unlike any the galaxy had seen before. Their warships were designed for one thing: domination. Each ship was a fortress in space, equipped with shields that could deflect any incoming attack, and weapons capable of decimating entire fleets with a single blow. But what truly set them apart was the element of surprise. With their cloaking technology, Earth's warships moved through space undetected, striking with deadly precision before vanishing again into the darkness. The first strike was quick and brutal. A Zephyrian flagship, the pride of their fleet, was hit by a blast so powerful it sent shockwaves through the vacuum of space. The Zephyrians were stunned. They had been completely unprepared for this kind of attack. Their AI drones, which were usually flawless in their operations, struggled to track the cloaked ships, leaving the Zephyrians confused and disoriented. The confusion among the Zephyrian forces was palpable. They sent out messages to their commanders, demanding answers, but nothing could prepare them for the horror of seeing Earth's warships darting in and out of their fleet, launching attack after attack. Each blast from a human ship shook the Zephyrian vessels, tearing through their shields and hitting vital systems with deadly accuracy. The Zephyrian fleet was no longer acting like an invincible force. Their movements became erratic. Their eye-controlled drones scrambled to respond, but the humans had anticipated every move. One after another, the Zephyrian ships were struck, their forces scattered and disarrayed. The Zelzeri, watching from the surface of their planet, couldn't believe what they were witnessing. The Zephyrians, who had once been the unstoppable conquerors of the galaxy, were now on the defensive against the humans, who had previously been dismissed as weak. The action intensified as Earth's warships launched another round of attacks, this time targeting the AI drones that had been the backbone of the Zephyrian military. These drones were designed to think, learn, and adapt in real time, but humanity's own AI systems were more advanced. Earth's ships fired powerful electromagnetic pulses, disabling the Zephyrian drones in one fell swoop. With their drones neutralized, The Zephyrian fleet was left exposed and vulnerable, unable to defend themselves against the devastating power of Earth's warships. The humans, however, didn't give the Zephyrians any time to recover. With military precision, they launched a series of targeted strikes, taking out weapon systems, engine compartments, and key power sources. It was as if Earth had become the hunters, and the Zephyrians, once the apex predators of the galaxy, were now the prey. The cloaking technology was key to their strategy. Earth's warships appeared to be everywhere at once, popping in and out of the battle with lethal strikes, leaving the Zephyrians no time to react. They had never encountered such a style of warfare. The Zephyrian ships, built for raw power, were at a disadvantage against the speed and agility of Earth's forces. Every time they tried to regroup or launch a counterattack, the humans had already struck again, disappearing back into the void of space before they could retaliate. As the Zephyrian forces scrambled to respond, their fear began to grow. They were used to being the invincible conquerors, the masters of the galaxy. But now, they were the ones in retreat, and Earth was the force that was pushing them back. It was a terrifying realization for the Zephyrians. Their once unbeatable fleet was being dismantled by a race they had underestimated. The visual display of the battle was nothing short of chaotic. The dark expanse of space was illuminated by bursts of light as Earth's warships launched wave after wave of attacks. The cloaked ships, barely visible but deadly in their precision, would strike, then vanish, only to reappear moments later to strike again. The Zephyrian fleet, which had once been a symbol of terror across the galaxy, now seemed like a helpless prey, floundering in the face of humanity's terrifying might. The Zephyrian aerodromes, which had once been perfect in their execution, were now the weak link in their defense. With every strike from the humans, their programming faltered, unable to adapt fast enough to the relentless attacks. It was a beautiful example of technology meeting its match, as Earth's own advanced AI outpaced and outsmarted the Zephyrian machines. Amidst the chaos of the battle, the humans remained calm and calculated. They had the advantage, and they knew how to use it. Each attack was carefully planned, each strike timed to perfection. Earth's warships, cloaked and deadly, became the stuff of nightmares for the Zephyrians. The power that once seemed so far out of reach for humanity was now fully realized, and it sent a clear message. Earth was no longer the weak planet it once was. It had become a force that could strike fear into the hearts of the greatest empires in the galaxy. As the battle raged on, one thing was clear. Earth had arrived, and it was here to stay. The Zephyrians' reign of terror was over, and humanity's terrifying power had only just begun to show its true potential. The tide of war had shifted, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had always been underestimated. For centuries, Earth had been seen as a weak, isolated planet, struggling to survive in the vast, dangerous galaxy. But now, as their warships tore through the Zephyrian fleet, humans were proving themselves to be something entirely different. With advanced technology, brilliant strategies, and weapons that could level entire enemy fleets, Earth was emerging as a formidable force that the galaxy could no longer ignore. Commander Ethan Drake stood at the helm of one of Earth's most powerful warships, watching the chaotic battle unfold in space. The Zephyrian fleet was in retreat, but the fight wasn't over yet. Earth's warships continued to strike with precision, their cloaked ships appearing and disappearing like shadows in the night, leaving the Zephyrians in a state of confusion and fear. But the XL Zeri, the alien race that had sent the distress signal, still weren't fully convinced. Despite witnessing Earth's devastating power, they were hesitant. They had been abandoned by their own allies in the past, and the scars of betrayal ran deep. The XL Zeri weren't sure if they could trust the humans to come through for them. After all, Earth had only just begun to prove its strength. Would they really risk everything to save a race they barely knew? As Commander Drake addressed his crew, his face was a mixture of determination and uncertainty. He knew the importance of the moment. Humanity's reputation as the underdog had helped them gain a small advantage, but that wouldn't last long. The XL Zeri needed to believe that humans were their true allies, and that belief wouldn't come easily. Trust had to be earned, and Drake knew that the XL Zeri's survival was not guaranteed. But in the heat of battle, as the XL Zeri watched from their planet's surface, something happened that would change everything. One of Earth's soldiers, Private Bonner, made a sacrifice that would prove to the XL Zeri that humanity was worth trusting. It happened during a brutal fight against the Zephorians. Earth's warships were striking the Zephorian fleet with everything they had, but the Zephorians weren't giving up easily. A group of AI-controlled drones launched a counterattack, targeting a section of the XL Zeri's planet's defense systems. Without immediate intervention, the entire planet could be destroyed. Private Bonner, who had been stationed on the front lines, saw the threat. With no time to waste, he made a split-second decision. As his team fought off Zephorian drones, Bonner led a charge straight toward the incoming attack. His goal was to buy enough time for the rest of his team to take down the Zephorians, even if it meant sacrificing himself. The moment was a brutal one. As Bonner approached the enemy, the overwhelming force of the Zephorian drones hit him full force. But he fought on, his weapons blazing, his determination unwavering. Just before the final blow, Bonner took the full brunt of the explosion, pushing forward one last time to give his team a chance. His sacrifice saved countless lives, but it cost him everything. The XL Zeri, watching the scene unfold from their planet, were stunned. They had seen humans fight before, but this was different. Bonner's courage and selflessness were something they had never expected from the people they had once considered weak. As they watched him fall, the XL Zeri began to understand that humans were not just fighters. They were heroes. For the first time, the XL Zeri felt a deep connection to humanity. They had been fighting for survival, just like humans, but Bonner's sacrifice showed them that the human spirit was something extraordinary. It was not just about power or technology. It was about heart. The XL Zeri had underestimated humanity, and now they could see that they had made a terrible mistake. The visual storytelling of Bonner's sacrifice was poignant. The close-up shot of his face, covered in blood and sweat, showed the determination in his eyes just before he made his final move. The explosion that followed, the blast that engulfed him, sent shockwaves through the battlefield. His sacrifice was not just a personal loss. It was a symbol of what humanity was capable of. It was the ultimate proof of their strength, and it resonated deeply with the XL Zeri. As the battle raged on, the XL Zeri watched as humanity's warships continued to fight with unwavering resolve. The humans were not only saving their planet, they were saving the XL Zeris as well. And now, the XL Zeri began to realize that they could trust the humans. They had seen the power, the intelligence, and the heart that lay beneath Earth's reputation. Commander Drake, his face grim, watched the battle unfold. Bonner's sacrifice had given the XL Zeri a reason to trust them. The humans were no longer seen as weak. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the XL Zeri had come to understand that they were no longer alone in their fight for survival. They had found true allies in humanity, and they would fight side by side to defeat the Zephorians. The emotional core of the story had shifted. What had started as a simple mission of survival had now become a bond between two species, forged through trust and sacrifice. The XL Zeri were no longer uncertain. They had seen the strength of humanity's heart, and that was more powerful than any weapon. And with that trust, Earth and the XL Zeri would face the Zephorians together. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, both sides knew that they had each other's backs. Just as humanity and the XL Zeri felt they were on the brink of victory, something unexpected happened. After all their struggles, the courage, the sacrifice, and the unity between Earth and the XL Zeri, a twist in the tale shattered everything. The humans had fought valiantly, and the XL Zeri were beginning to trust them completely. However, they were not prepared for the most dangerous enemy of all, betrayal from within. It was in the midst of one of their most crucial battles when the truth was revealed. Commander Ethan Drake and his team had been preparing to launch a final devastating assault on the Zephyrian fleet. With the help of their XL-Zeri allies, the humans believed they were close to victory. But deep inside the ranks of the XL-Zeri, there was a traitor. A high-ranking XL-Zeri officer, one who had been working secretly with the Zephyrians for months, had been feeding them information. His loyalty to the XL-Zeri had long been compromised, and he had been sabotaging their efforts from within. The betrayal came at a crucial moment. As the humans and XL-Zeri prepared for a final strike on the Zephyrian flagship, the officer activated a hidden communication device, alerting the Zephyrians to their plans. Suddenly, the Zephyrian fleet, which had seemed to be in disarray, quickly regained its coordination. They launched a counterattack, striking Earth and XL-Zeri warships with ruthless precision. It was a devastating blow, and both sides were thrown into chaos. The humans were caught off guard. They had trusted the XL-Zeri completely, and now they found themselves in the middle of a battle where their allies were being torn apart. Commander Drake's heart sank as he realized what had happened. He had fought side by side with the XL-Zeri, and now they were being betrayed by one of their own. It was a cruel twist of fate. The moment of betrayal added a dark layer of tension to the battle. The humans, who had already suffered so much, now had to contend with a new enemy, the very allies they had risked everything to help. Commander Drake called for an emergency retreat, but the Zephyrians were relentless. They had the upper hand, and the humans were on the brink of defeat. In the midst of the chaos, an intense hand-to-hand combat sequence unfolded. Humans and XL-Zeri, despite the treachery, fought side by side against the Zephyrian forces. There was no time for hesitation. They had to push forward, even if it meant fighting in close quarters, surrounded by enemies. Their goal was clear: destroy the Zephyrian flagship and cripple their forces before they were completely overrun. The fight was brutal. Humans, equipped with advanced weaponry, clashed with the deadly eye-controlled drones and elite Zephyrian soldiers. The XL-Zeri, skilled in alien combat techniques, moved with lightning speed, slashing through enemies with their high-tech weapons. The air was thick with the sounds of battle, the hum of energy weapons, the clash of blades, and the roar of war machines. Blood and sparks flew as humans and XL-Zeri fought side by side, pushing through the chaos in an attempt to reach the Zephyrian flagship. The suspense reached its peak when the Zephyrian flagship, massive and ominous, neared Earth's territory. If it wasn't destroyed, the Zephyrians would launch a full-scale attack on Earth, and the battle would be lost. Commander Drake knew that the destruction of the flagship would determine the fate of humanity and the XL-Zeri. But getting close enough to strike was a challenge that required them to fight through the relentless waves of enemies. As the flagship loomed closer, the humans and XL-Zeri formed a plan to infiltrate it. They knew that their only chance of success was to breach the ship's defenses and destroy its core from within. But the closer they got, the more perilous their mission became. The traitor's influence had made it harder for them to get vital information about the flagship's defenses, and now time was running out. The battle for the flagship turned into a life-or-death struggle. Every movement, every decision could mean the difference between victory and destruction. The humans, who had never been so deeply involved in such high-stakes warfare, felt the weight of responsibility. They couldn't afford to fail, not just for their own survival, but for the survival of their new allies, the XL-Zeri. As Commander Drake and his team led the charge, the suspense was unbearable. Would they be able to destroy the Zephyrian flagship in time? Would they overcome the treachery that had torn their alliance apart? The stakes were higher than ever, and the outcome of this battle was uncertain. The tension was palpable as the clock ticked down, and the Zephyrian flagship came closer to Earth's defenses. With each step, the humans and Selzeri were drawing nearer to the heart of the Zephyrian fleet, but they had to make it through one last, bloody battle. The suspense was thick in the air. The traitors' actions had complicated their mission, but humanity's resolve and the Excelzeri's bravery kept them going. Every moment was a fight for survival, and no one knew if they would make it out alive. The fight for the flagship wasn't just about weapons or strategy, it was about trust. The betrayal had shattered their sense of unity, but it had also forged a deeper bond between humanity and the Excelzeri. They had been betrayed, but they would not give up. In the end, they would either destroy the Zephyrian flagship or they would fall together. As the humans and Selzeri reached the heart of the Zephyrian ship, the tension reached its climax. This was the moment where everything would be decided. Would they succeed in their mission, or would the betrayal tear them apart? The suspense lingered, keeping the viewers on the edge of their seats as the battle raged on, and the fate of Earth and the Excelzeri hung in the balance. The battle had reached its peak, and now everything hung in the balance. Commander Ethan Drake and his team, battered but determined, knew they were facing their ultimate challenge. This was the final stand, the moment where everything would either fall into place or crumble into nothingness. The Zephyrian flagship was still looming large in space, its dark silhouette casting an ominous shadow over the battlefield. Its destruction was their only hope, and they had no choice but to give it everything they had. The fight began with a fury. The humans and Selzeri had already endured so much, but their spirits were unwavering. Their mission was clear: destroy the Zephyrian flagship, no matter the cost. The fight for the future of both humanity and the Excelzeri had reached a boiling point. It was not just a battle for survival. It was a battle for honor, for justice, and for the chance to stop an unstoppable enemy. The massive space battle unfolded as Commander Drake led the charge. Humans had learned to fight like never before, using their advanced technology to outmaneuver the much larger and more powerful Zephyrian fleet. Warships, cloaked in stealth, launched surprise attacks on the enemy, weaving through the chaos of exploding ships and debris. Human warriors, trained to the highest standards, targeted key points on the Zephyrian flagship with precision, their weapons cutting through the void with deadly accuracy. In space, the humans' cloaking technology proved to be a game-changer. The Zephyrians, who had once dominated the battlefield with their sheer numbers, were now at a disadvantage. The humans struck with lightning speed, hitting the Zephyrian ships before the enemy could react. It was a beautifully executed strategy, a perfect example of humanity's intelligence and cunning. The humans had turned the tables, and now it was the Zephyrians who were scrambling to survive. On the ground, the battle raged on as well. The Excelzeri and humans fought side by side, their advanced weapons and tactics complementing each other in a seamless display of warfare. There was no room for fear, no time for hesitation. Every human and Excelzeri warrior knew that their survival depended on their unity and their ability to outsmart the Zephyrians at every turn. The planet trembled beneath their feet as the war unfolded above, with the fate of two civilizations at stake. The visuals of the battle were breathtaking. Orbital bombardment rained down on the Zephyrian fleet, bright beams of energy lighting up the dark expanse of space. Humans' advanced weaponry, fired with pinpoint accuracy, destroyed Zephyrian ships in a flurry of sparks and explosions. The air was thick with the sound of combat. Energy beams, the roar of engines, the deafening silence of space broken only by the echoes of war. It was a cinematic spectacle, one that would be remembered for generations. As the battle reached its climax, the final confrontation began. The Zephyrian flagship, which had seemed invincible, was now in its death throes. Commander Drake, along with his team, had one final mission: to destroy the flagship before it could launch a devastating counterattack on Earth. But the price of victory was high. They knew that the final assault would not come without sacrifice. Commander Drake made the ultimate decision. He knew that the only way to guarantee success was to take a calculated risk. As his team set the charges on the flagship's core, Drake led the charge into the heart of the enemy ship, fighting through waves of Zephorian soldiers and AI drones. His determination was unmatched. With every step, he moved closer to the core, knowing that once the charges were set, they would have mere moments to escape before the ship exploded. As the final moments approached, Commander Drake made a painful choice. He stayed behind to make sure the charges were set properly, knowing full well that there would be no time to escape once they detonated. His sacrifice would ensure that humanity's future and the future of the XL-Zari was secured. With one last look at his team, Drake activated the detonator, sealing his fate. The explosion that followed was cataclysmic. The flagship, once a symbol of the Zephorians' power, was obliterated in a massive explosion that shook the very stars. The victory was hard-earned, but it came at a steep price. The humans had won the battle, but they had lost one of their greatest leaders. Commander Drake's sacrifice would not be forgotten. His name would live on in the hearts of those who fought alongside him, and the XL-Zari would forever remember the heroism of the humans who had helped them defeat a common enemy. In the aftermath, the XL-Zari and the humans gathered to honor the fallen. The war was over, but the cost was heavy. As the survivors looked out at the wreckage of the Zephorian fleet, the gravity of what they had achieved began to settle in. They had destroyed an empire, but they had also forged an unbreakable bond between their two species. The XL-Zari, once hesitant and uncertain about the humans, now saw them in a new light. They were no longer the weak race they had once believed them to be. The humans had proven themselves to be resilient, resourceful, and capable of incredible sacrifice. In the face of impossible odds, they had stood strong and fought for what was right. The XL-Zari leader approached Commander Drake's team, their faces solemn but filled with gratitude. "We owe you our survival," the leader said. "Without your bravery, we would have been lost. We promise that our alliance with humanity will endure. Together, we will rebuild, and we will face whatever challenges come our way." The humans, though grieving their loss, knew that Commander Drake's sacrifice had not been in vain. They had proven their strength, their courage, and their ability to overcome the greatest of enemies. And now, with the XL-Zari at their side, they could look toward the future with hope. As the remnants of the Zephorian fleet drifted into the void, humanity and the XL-Zari stood together, united by their shared struggle and their shared victory. The final stand had been a testament to their strength, their resolve, and their unwavering belief in each other. Together, they had not only survived, they had triumphed. And the galaxy would never be the same. After the dust of battle had settled, the universe was forever changed. The once feared Zephorian Empire, with its vast fleets and technological supremacy, had been reduced to rubble. Earth's military, under the brilliant leadership of Commander Ethan Drake and his team, had delivered a blow to the galactic order that sent ripples across the stars. The victory wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about sending a message. Earth had proven to the galaxy, to the entire universe, that humans were no longer the weak, insignificant race they had once been dismissed as. No longer were they the underdogs. They were now a force to be reckoned with. The Zephorians, once so confident in their power, now knew the truth. Humanity had shattered their illusion of superiority. Earth's warships, powered by the most advanced technologies and backed by human ingenuity, had crushed their enemies. The galaxy had watched as humanity emerged from the shadows of its past, stepping into the light of greatness. The battle for Earth had been a turning point not just for the humans, but for the universe. The people of Earth, the Terran warriors, who had fought with everything they had, now stood tall as symbols of bravery, resilience, and technological prowess. Their victory had been hard-earned, but it was undeniable. Humanity's message was clear. They would no longer be overlooked, and they would never again be underestimated. The days of weakness were over. Humans were here to stay, and they were not afraid to fight for their place among the stars. Commander Drake's name would be spoken in hushed tones across the galaxy. His heroism, his leadership, and his ultimate sacrifice had not only saved the XL-Zeri and Earth, but had also changed the way the galaxy saw humanity. In the aftermath of the war, Commander Drake's story became one that inspired not just his fellow humans, but the XL-Zeri as well. The sacrifice he made for the greater good resonated across both civilizations. He had given everything so that others could have a future, and that legacy would never be forgotten. The XL-Zeri, once hesitant and unsure of the humans, now looked at them with respect and admiration. They had seen the strength, the courage, and the determination of the human race, and they understood that humanity was no longer the naive, defenseless species they had once thought them to be. The alliance between the humans and the XL-Zeri, once forged in the heat of battle, was now a bond that would last for generations. Together, they stood ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. The human race had proven themselves as fierce warriors and brilliant tacticians, capable of achieving the impossible. With their advanced technology, their resilience, and their newfound place in the galaxy, they were no longer just survivors. They were leaders, pioneers, and protectors of their own destiny. Humanity's new image as a technologically advanced, fierce, and brave race was now solidified. Earth had sent a message to the entire galaxy, and that message would echo across the stars for eons to come. We are here. We are strong, and we will never be ignored again. As time passed, Earth's reputation continued to grow. The human race began to rebuild, stronger and more united than ever. They forged new alliances, not just with the XL-Zeri, but with many other species across the galaxy who had once doubted them. Together, they worked to create a new order, one where the lessons of the past were never forgotten, and the mistakes of previous generations were not repeated. The humans, alongside their allies, worked to ensure that no race would ever again have to suffer under the heel of a tyrant like the Zephorians. But even as humanity looked forward to a bright and promising future, they never forgot the sacrifices made to secure that future. The memory of Commander Drake and the brave warriors who had fought alongside him remained etched in the hearts of all. His death was not in vain. It was a reminder of what was at stake, of the price of freedom, and of the power of unity. As the humans looked to the stars, they knew that their journey had only just begun. They had defeated an empire, but the universe was vast, and many challenges lay ahead. Yet, no matter what came next, they would face it together, with the same courage, the same resilience, and the same determination that had brought them this far. The final reflections on Commander Drake's life were filled with honor. His legacy would be remembered in the stories told across the galaxy. His name would be immortalized in the halls of history as the man who led humanity from the brink of destruction to the pinnacle of galactic respect. His sacrifice had given the galaxy a new hope, a hope that, despite the darkness that loomed over the stars, there was always light to be found in the hearts of those who refused to give up. The heroes of Earth, led by Commander Drake, had carved their place in the galaxy's history, and their legacy would continue for generations to come. They had shown the universe that, no matter the odds, humanity would always rise. And in that rise, they had not only secured their own future, but they had made the universe a better place for all. Humanity had won, and now, as they looked to the stars, they knew that their true journey was just beginning. Their place among the stars had been earned, and they would defend it, not just with their weapons, but with their hearts, their minds, and their unbreakable will. The galaxy would forever remember the humans who had dared to stand against the mighty Zephorians, and who had emerged victorious. The age of humanity had truly begun.